What's up everybody, I'm quickly interrupting ahead of this video. Welcome to the channel of course, but quickly wanted to shout out the Signal group we have, which is a group in which I share all of my trades. For example, also this maker trade that we took over the course of this week. But we also, for example, bought Bitcoin at 101,000, which hopefully it's still trading higher at this point of time, but it went to 107,000. But I also released a new trading guide in which I fully explain one of the main strategies that I use to trade. So not only will you get profitable signals, you're also able to learn how to become a profitable trader yourself. So if you want to join, if that sounds interesting, links will be down in the description. For now, enjoy the video. Bye. Good morning everybody, welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, hope you're surviving these market circumstances. And welcome to a new, I might call it an emergency update on Bitcoin. We're going to do a full update. To be fair, if you look at the 4-hour time frame here, Bitcoin is actually still relatively stable. Some altcoins are recovering as well, as you can see right here, but it's mostly Bitcoin that's stable. But over the course of the night, obviously we had a big pullback. Yesterday for a long time we were still able to hold the main support level at 106.8. But then obviously, and I've said this throughout the last 2 weeks quite often, this is still a fundamentals market, right? So if something major happens fundamentally in terms of news, then that will shake up the markets. And then obviously what we had overnight is an escalation between Israel and Iran, all right? We had that, and look, this video is in no shape or form or this channel is in no shape or form a channel to discuss politics, but we have to kind of discuss it in this video. And what I would say is that, you know, at this point of time and on the higher time frames, I think Bitcoin will remain stable, but regarding the fundamental and the political situation there, I would still expect more downside. All right, what you can see right now, if we look at the data, and I don't have the active news, or at least the latest news with me, because I mean I'm recording these videos, so I cannot do two things at one time. But looking at all the factors, the S&P 500 pre-market is recovering a little bit, but oil is trading much higher, and it broke out, which is one thing that we do not like to see. The volatility index opened much higher, is now pulling back, but ultimately that's also, you know, it's uncertain whether that will continue. And same thing with gold. Gold broke out, but it's also pulling back, right? So it seems like initially there was a lot of instability and the market reacted to that, and right now it's pulling back. But ultimately, it still depends on whether we're going to see a further escalation or not. And I cannot tell you anything wise about that, all right? The only wise thing that I can say about that is that so far, if we compare the price action that we've had to the price action we had April 2024, when we had something similar happen, the price action and all relevant factors and all relevant variables dipped down much lower than this, right? So based on that, and then outside of that, yesterday we already, you know, we're pulling back a little bit in the markets. And Friday, historically, at least over the last 1-2 months, has been a day in which we saw quite a lot of de-risking. I would say it's most likely that, yes, we are still going lower. Potentially most likely is not the best way to word that, but I would say it's best to assume that we are going lower, right? And given these fundamentals, I think it's just not wise to open any positions right here. Like on the higher time frames, like I said, I think Bitcoin is going to form some sort of a range right here between 110,000 to the upside, and then to the downside right here, let's say 100,000, even though we can still drop down lower as well. And that is still what I do expect. So that means that, you know, if we are going to see further escalation and if we are going to pull back lower, which, like I said, at this point of time, I think you should assume that we're going to do that, I do think this support will hold, and I do think we'll be able to consolidate here, and I do think we'll be able to get back up to 110,000. So on the higher time frames, I think this stability will hold, and if we see a de-escalation from here, I think we'll just stay around the levels where we are right now, 105, 106, 107, and we'll just remain stable right there with the potential to actually break out again. Right, so it very much is dependent on those fundamentals, based on the reaction we've had so far, and you know, my experience with these fundamental events. I would say assume we're going to drop down lower, but I personally do not assume, and I personally do not expect that the higher time frame trend or the higher time frame range, because the trend is a range, will break. But I'll keep you updated on that. For now, I think that's what you need to know. I will be back with the middle of the day market update as well, of course. But for now, thank you for watching. I'll see you all later, and bye.